First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by WeatherRate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm meteorologist Lee Southwick, filling in for meteorologist Ross Muma, and joined by the one and only Chief Meteorologist Tim Deegan.
Hello,
hey, Tim.
Lee.
Thanks for letting me hang out with you
today.
Good
afternoon. Thanks for coming in. I guess you're giving Ross a break because he did the river run, right?
He did do the river
recovering.
Run. He deserves a break. And you know
does.
what? I'll also say, though, he's filling in for me this weekend.
Yes.
So thank you, Ross.
Yes.
Enjoy your time off, recover. By the way, Tim, how was the run?
The run was fantastic. To me, so that was my 41st river run. And to me, it's always great once you've actually done it. And that's even after I've had a bad river run, so I'm not a good person to ask. But it was, personally for me, it was my best time I've had since before the pandemic.
Great job.
Or another way I'm putting it, it's the best river run I've ever had while owning a Medicare card. So
that's fantastic.
So I'm going with that. But for the river run itself, it was really good to see because, and this isn't just here, but throughout the running world, the numbers really dropped off, of course, with the pandemic, and it's still been sort of low. But as of this year, the river run basically had a modern day record. I think it's the most runners they'd had in like 10 years or so.
Wow.
Which was really good to see. And of course the weather was beautiful. They set a record. The record for the 15K they had held up for Todd Williams since 1995. So that was and this is the national championship. So we bring in elites all the time. But this year broke the record by I think about 10 or 12 seconds. So and the women almost broke the record as well. So from the elites all the way to those of us just, get us over the bridge and hopefully have a good view and finish. It was a good year.
Did you see Ross?
I did not see Ross, but
okay.
I know they finished because you can look stuff up in results. I know they finished. For those of you who don't know, Ross ran with Anthony. Anthony's done it before. Ross has never done it before. I give them props because they're what I call gym rats, and I mean that as a compliment. Like they go into the gym and they're, Ross is super strong. Well, they're both the weights they do it is amazing. Although Andy's saying no, not really. But anyhow, anytime men or women who are basically gym rats, but they get out there and do that run, I am always super impressed. I know that maybe sometimes they get disappointed in their times, but I'm always super impressed that that's a lot of muscle to carry for 9.3 miles. I'll put it that way. How about that?
Well, we're all really proud of you and Ross, so congratulations.
Thanks.
Great job. I know today we're talking a lot right there about weather impact alert this week, but you know what, Tim? I'm starting with a little bit of a curveball. While you were running, I was walking.
You didn't tell me. When was this?
This was actually, this was on Friday. Did a couple miles down the beach and back. So we were in Fernandina Beach. We did Peters Point, walked to the pier. The whale popped up, and we walked with it all the way back.
You give me chills. That's awesome.
Isn't that so cool? So this is actually going bananas on my social media. I posted it on Facebook, and
now,
experts
do you ever get
saying,
was it a mother with the calf, or was it just a mother? Do you know?
So we think it was two. I was walking with my grandmom, and we both thought that there might be two. And then people have said there were reports near Hanna Park of two right whales. Well, now people are starting to say, experts are popping up and saying, actually, these are humpbacks. So even more, rare. They say it's because of the dorsal fin. You can tell it's a humpback.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of...
because normally when you see the right whale, it's more of a steady sort of rise, and then...
So they're saying, they're probably a mom and baby, probably humpbacks. Either way, all I can tell you is that I saw a whale.
Wow.
Isn't that fun?
Oh wow, that's beautiful. I was often doing stuff and not connected to digital. I was at the beach earlier. So what time was this?
This would have been 12:30.
And it's like going south, is that right?
Yep, that's heading south. Yep, because there were reports later of people at Hanna Park seeing it, or them. So yeah.
Beautiful.
All right, so I just had to share
that. Thanks for that, Lee. Wow, you surprised me. You didn't tell me you had that.
Well, I told you if you wanted to look through my show, you said a surprise.
That's awesome.
All right, so I had to give you that little surprise to start. Now I guess we should talk about the weather because there's a lot going on. Not only for us, we have that weather impact alert on Wednesday, but of course we're going to follow this system from out west. So we're watching that little line of rain right there trying to head towards Wichita. And Tim, this is what's going to start to bubble up and strengthen over the next few hours.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to blow up, right? Nice graphic. And basically, folks, we talk about, and we even learned, all of us have learned in fourth grade that you have to have a cold front and a warm front to start to get storms. But what really fires things, these big events, is when you have cold air, warm air. So the warm air, moist air is coming up from the Gulf, cold air is coming in. This is like polar air, or Pacific, maritime Pacific is what we call it. But then some hot, dry air coming out of the southwest, and the dry line sets up. And it looks like the dry line is going to be the trigger there from central Kansas to Dalhart on down to west of Abilene. And then that's going to drive that. So this is pretty much from tonight through tomorrow, right, Lee?
Yes, and then as we move into tomorrow evening, that risk shifts down towards Louisiana. This is an issue for Mardi Gras. So
for those of you who don't know, although Lee is from Fernandina, Lee spent some forecasting time down in the Big Easy, and what terrible timing, right? Fat Tuesday. Wow.
So yeah, this is what I'm most concerned about with this too, Tim, is that the people in New Orleans and Louisiana and Mississippi, they pay attention to the weather. Most of them do their parading the weekend before and 2 weekends before, and then they hunker down, they get out of town on Mardi Gras, on Fat Tuesday. That's when the tourists come in.
Right, gotcha.
And those are the people who usually aren't paying as much attention to the weather.
That's a very good point.
So there's already been a lot of government officials doing the right thing, keeping people safe, either moving the parades earlier in the day, or unfortunately some parades are getting canceled as well in Louisiana, I've seen. But they're going to deal with that severe weather tomorrow and tomorrow evening, and then that line will continue to move towards us, and then we have a lower end risk here, Tim, of severe weather on Wednesday.
But we're still thinking that probably just about all of us will get a 2-hour rain event with storms within it. It just might not be technically severe. Just as a reminder, if you're new to the area, when we talk about severe winds or severe weather, especially with this type of event, we're talking about winds of 50 knots or more. We tend to think of miles per hour, so think 58 miles per hour. And you might be wondering, well, what's so special about that? Well, those are actually considered storm winds. Gale force winds are 39 or more, 50 knots or more are storm winds. But more specifically, it's right about at 55 to 60 miles per hour when engineers have determined, and they did this back in the 60s, and it works out pretty well. That's when we start to see tree limbs come down. They become flying debris. We start to see maybe a little bit of corner roof damage. We start to see some fences. So I think that's primarily what we're looking at. Lee has a great graphic here. The yellow there is what the Severe Storms Forecast Office says, a slight risk of severe storms. doesn't mean we can't have any, but we're going to be right on the edge, and so they call it marginal. So we can't rule out isolated tornadoes, right, Lee?
Right. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
we'll watch out. You mentioned the winds. That's the main concern.
I think that's the main concern. Yeah.
But maybe an isolated brief tornado or two. So that's something that we will watch closely on Wednesday. I have the timing here coming up. But first, I believe if it loads, doesn't want to load. Okay, I had a live camera of New Orleans of the parade route, but
I saw that.
we'll try that later.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the timing.
I just wanted to say, Lee, in case some have already seen that. That's why folks were calling Wednesday a weather impact day. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, no, absolutely. And let's talk about the timing now. So we've talked about today, where it's going through the Dallas area into tomorrow morning. And then from there, it moves into New Orleans all the way up to St. Louis. St. Louis, another big Mardi Gras city. So they're also going to be dealing with this tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. But then, Tim, here comes the line. So our weather impact alert, we're starting at 8 a.m.
Yeah, and so the models have probably, I think we talked last week, and we were debating how late on Wednesday would the squall arrive, right? And then gradually we've been moving it quicker, farther east, however you want to look at it. And yeah, sure looks like for you folks out around Lake City up toward Waycross, you could get, if there's going to be severe weather, but you're definitely going to have some rain and gusty winds by as early as 8 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. And there it is into the Jackson metro area.
Yeah, and Tim, this is actually earlier now, and again, an earlier timing than when we originally looked at this when we came in today. It was showing it moving through the Jackson metro area in the lunch hour, but now this shows as early as potentially 10 a.m., which you were saying, Tim, you would not be surprised if this continued to speed up and move to an earlier time frame.
Well, let's talk a little meteorology, and I know you've seen this as well locally and also in New Orleans, that the models are definitely handle these situations much better now than they used to. But I still think that what happens is once the squall line forms, and for those of you out there not used to squall lines, it's an organized line of thunderstorms, potentially severe. Once it forms, it kind of creates its own weather, right, Lee? And once it forms, it tends to move east with the gust front and can get way ahead of the initial triggering mechanism, right? And I think that's what's happened here is that with pretty good amount of confidence, this is going to become an organized squall line overnight tonight, sort of become its own animal, and then it's just going to, once it forms, it's going to come racing Dallas, New Orleans, and then Jacksonville.
And then continuing to move through, say, the St. Augustine, Palatka area, like an hour or so after that, and then eventually clear. So at least for Wednesday evening's commute, doesn't look like it's that much of a concern.
No. So and the first Wednesday, I'm trying to think out loud. The first Wednesday, there's some kind of outdoor event. Is that art?
Oh, is it Art Walk?
I think it's Art Walk, maybe. Anyhow,
Andy,
whatever your plans, even though we're calling Wednesday a weather impact day, whatever your weather plans are, could be by Wednesday evening, we're okay, just kind of gusty.
Exactly. All right. So Wednesday, right now we're going with a timing of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We did that to give us some wiggle room on the back end, but we will likely be trimming that off as we continue to get the high resolution model data and be able to time this out a bit better. But against
And I'm sorry, just a triple underline. So folks, if you haven't seen this graphic before, that's covering all of what we call the First Coast. So we think in any one particular spot, we're not saying it's going to be a 6-hour storm event.
Right.
We think in any one particular spot, maybe about a 2-hour event. And so it's going to come in fast, but head out faster. It sure looks like that's what's going to happen.
Right, so as you mentioned, Lake City, Waycross, this is 8 a.m. It's about a 2-hour time frame, and then you're done by, say, 10 a.m. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, as Jacksonville is getting into the thick of things. And that's not our only chance for rain over the coming days. So, of course, Wednesday, we have the weather impact alert for the higher rain coverage. Drier behind it Thursday and Friday. But, Tim, we're watching our next system to move through Saturday into Sunday.
Lee, we talked last week about the fact that I think we had like 5 days in a row of sunny weather, but we said be careful because although March has come in like a lamb, it looks like the lion is going to roar. And when you think about the fact tomorrow's going to be windy, Wednesday's going to be stormy, Thursday's going to be windy, Friday we get a break, and then comes the weekend. So I think the lion of March is we're gonna feel it, might even hear it.
Absolutely. So
with that said, Lee, I'm sorry, but I have to get ready for the 5 o'clock.
Go ahead. Get on out of here.
So Lee's kicking me out, folks, and she's going to take us.
Get out of here.
Okay.
You can tune in at 5 o'clock to
you.
see Tim. So, yeah, that's our next system. Then moving through Saturday night into Sunday. Some models, the European model really, wanting to keep a little bit of rain around longer on Sunday, and then perhaps even into Monday as well. So we'll watch for that little low pressure system there right off the coast. That could bring a few more showers wrapping into our area on Monday. So let's just wrap this up for you, your 7-day forecast. A lot going on here. The first thing that we're really watching is Wednesday for the weather impact alert. So tomorrow we're warmer than today. We're getting into the 70s, and we could have a few isolated showers. So by the way, tomorrow, if you're driving around, you see some raindrops, don't be surprised. It's just isolated activity. Our winds are coming out of the south. It's pulling in that warmer air, but it's also pulling in the moisture, and so we will see some showers. But that main rain event arrives Wednesday morning to our northwestern areas, and then it moves across the first coast, likely moving through the Jacksonville metro area late morning into early afternoon, and then it clears in time for Wednesday evening plans and the Wednesday evening commute. We're cooler behind that front. Temperatures drop back down into the 60s on Thursday. Lots of sunshine, but it will be gusty out there. And then Friday, a nice and mild day. Temperatures right near 70, so it should be fairly comfortable. It's a little bit cooler than what's normal for this time of year, but not by much. Saturday, we're warm again, but that's what we're also watching for those rain chances to increase. And right now, it looks like rain chances are a bit higher for the evening hours Saturday, overnight, and into Sunday. Also, don't forget that we spring forward this weekend. So as we're springing forward, we'll likely be tracking rain. Monday, a few of those showers could still hang out right off the coast, so it will keep us cloudy and cooler to start next week. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm meteorologist Lee Southwick, and Tim Deegan will see you at 5 o'clock. Errands, going to the beach or out on the water, you need to know what time that rain is going to arrive, how hot it's going to be, if fog is going to impact you, or if it's windy. And we want to nail it every day for you. We promise to keep working hard to stay the most accurate when it comes to forecasting for the First Coast.
You're looking for answers. You need to understand the facts. You want the truth.
So I've been doing this over 42 years. It is not boring.
The First Coast is my home. I grew up here, and I worked really hard to get back here.
Because I want you to be ready for what's coming.
You got to make sure you're exactly on point with your forecast.
Being part of the most accurate weather team, we can give you that trust, helping you stay safe.
Every single day, I can become a better forecaster.
You earn someone's trust by showing up every day for them.
Why does it matter in a forecast? Trust isn't everything. It's the only thing.
Consistency with, the accuracy in your forecast.
You're planning your day around it. You're planning your life around the weather forecast.
Every storm.
Every forecast.
We are earning your trust.
Earning your trust is just the beginning. We promise to keep it.
Rely on the team working every day to earn your trust. First Coast News on your side.
Hi, folks. I'm meteorologist Lewis Turner, working here at First Coast News. We're on your side. Been here since 2010, forecasting the weather for Southeast Georgia, for the First Coast and Northeast Florida. And it is a blessing and a treat to get to do it and work here with the First Coast News Weather Channel, which is powered by the First Coast most accurate weather team.
I love to forecast the weather.
My passion is making sure you are prepared to start your day.
I grew up watching First Coast News. I grew up watching Tim Deegan.
Meteorology is not only my job, it's my hobby.
I love being a meteorologist. I love being a part of your day.
When it comes to a forecast, trust isn't just one thing. Trust is the only thing that matters.
Earning your trust is just the beginning. We promise to keep it.
The First Coast's most accurate weather team, sponsored by AC Designs.
I'm meteorologist Robert Speta, First Coast News on your side. I've been working in meteorology for almost 20 years now, working with the Navy, even at Naval Station Mayport, as well as overseas, inside and covering typhoons, some of the biggest storms on Earth, and taking all of that knowledge back here to the First Coast and in the Jacksonville and help tracking our hurricanes and severe weather in our neighborhood, knowing how they impact not only our local community, but the military as well. And number one thing, of course, is being on your side, keeping you safe with your most accurate forecast. So make sure you download that First Coast News app, and also you can stream our newscast on First Coast News FCN Plus, as well as any severe weather or special weather coverage as well. I'm meteorologist Robert Speta, First Coast News on your side.
First Coast News on your side with Weather Impact Alert Days. When weather conditions could inconvenience you, let the First Coast most accurate weather team prepare you for Weather Impact Alert Days, highlighted in our forecast days in advance. Trust our forecast to give you more clarity on the days you need to be aware. We're committed to make sure you know what's to come so you can be ready for it. Trust the First Coast most accurate weather team. Trust Weather Impact Alert Days.
Temperatures will be warming up into the middle of the work week. Tuesday, highs will make it back into the 70s, but we could have a few isolated showers. However, the main rain event arrives on Wednesday. A line of showers and storms will move through our area, starting from the Waycross to Lake City area in the morning hours, but moving through the Jacksonville metro area around lunchtime. Some storms could be strong. Check back in for updates. With your most accurate forecast, I'm First Coast News meteorologist Lee Southwick.
We're going to call it a weather alert period between 3 and 7.
I love to forecast the weather.
My passion is making sure you are prepared and you are ready to start your day.
I grew up watching First Coast News. I grew up watching Tim Deegan.
Meteorology is not only my job, it's my hobby.
I love being a meteorologist. I love being a part of your day.
Earning your trust. We can't be on your side by just telling you that.
When it comes to a forecast, trust isn't just one thing. Trust is the only thing that matters.
People plan their day around the forecast, and we know that.
We do our best to give you the most accurate outlook, and it's even graded.
I think it's an honor to be a part of the most accurate weather team.
How can I be a better forecaster and better communicator for you?
Every storm,
Every forecast.
Earning your trust is just the beginning. We promise to keep it.
The First Coast's most accurate weather team, sponsored by AC Designs.